So then they kick the ball, Shannon, and sometimes it goes in a net.
So that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered why they had that net there.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole. That's pretty much all you need to know, right there.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah. No, now
I'm
you
very
now you.
confused. I was like, aren't you supposed to go like this?
Yeah.
Woo!
Now you'll enjoy fishing so much more.
Oh, thank you. Halibut.
Yeah, tasty, tasty halibut. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
My fellow Australians, we pirate more than anyone else in the world. How about paying for some content at patreon.com/acedetect?
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, July 8th, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt, and joining me today, very happy to have Shannon Morse of Hack5 and Techzilla on the show. How's it going, Shannon?
It is going lovely. How are you today?
You are married.
I might be. I don't know. I haven't gotten the paperwork yet.
Oh, I got the receipt that the paperwork was filed, so you're good.
Oh, good.
Officially,
Good. Awesome.
yeah.
I can actually claim it now.
Yeah,
Yay,
you could-
I'm married
you could-
legally.
you could,
Woo!
yeah, right now on the show, just now, it became official.
Thank you, Tom.
Congratulations, Shannon, since the last time we saw you, and of course, it's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Let's get right into the news, shall we?
Let's do it. Samsung reported earnings a little down. Q2 sales were approximately 52 trillion Korean won, that's $51.4 billion, and operating profit was about 7.2 trillion won, that's about $7.1 billion. Both numbers are down from last quarter and a year ago. Samsung blamed sluggish demand for tablets, a slowdown in smartphone sales, and strong Korean currency for the declines. The company predicted stronger smartphone sales with the coming release of its new smartphone lineup.
Yeah, I'm claiming that they lost all those sales because they got robbed.
They got robbed out of a bunch of stuff out of Brazil, right?
Yes, out
That's
of
gotta
Brazil,
cost.
over like 40,000 devices that they stuck into 7 different trucks, and these robbers just got away with them.
You know that's going to be a George Clooney movie soon.
Oh, it totally is.
Yeah, the Brazilian Samsung heist. PC Mag passes along a video from Marcus Brownlee, who got a hold of an alleged iPhone 6 screen made of sapphire crystal. Brownlee attempts to scratch the screen in a video with keys and a knife, and then he tries to bend it and break it to no avail. The part is a 4.7-inch screen, just the screen, and certainly looks like an iPhone. It's possible that the Gorilla Glass might hold up to some of the abuse he gave it, but I tend to believe that that's an actual sapphire glass screen there. And Brownlee claims his sources are reliable.
I want to see him break it with a hammer.
Yeah, he gave it a good go, like pulling on it. He was putting a shoe on it and really yanking at it. But yeah, go at it with the hammer. A hammer might break sapphire glass though.
Quite possibly.
Like,
He was being nice.
yeah. GigaOM reports Samsung, Broadcom, Atmel, and Wind River, which is an Intel company itself, are teaming up on yet another Internet of Things Standards Alliance. If you're keeping track, others include All Seen Alliance, Industrial Internet Consortium, MQTT, and XMP. This new one has the name Open Interconnect Consortium, and we'll see all the companies collaborate on code set to come out in Q3. The goal is to create a peer-to-peer protocol that handles discoverability and authentication better. Qualcomm has worked on a similar standard called AllJoin, which it open-sourced through the All Seen Alliance, making Qualcomm the all-father of that protocol. Thor joke. Reuters reports Chinese businessman Zhang Baosheng is taking Tesla Motors to court over the use of the name Tesla for sales and marketing of the cars in China. Tesla said in January that the trademark dispute was resolved and began delivering Model S sedans to Chinese customers in April, but then Baosheng said, haha, soon anyway, I guess. The Beijing Third Intermediate Court will hear the case on August 5th. GigaOM reports Uber has agreed with the state of New York not to raise prices during emergencies and natural disasters. Uber will adopt a similar policy nationwide. They did not specify what counts as a disaster, but you can count on the fact that New Year's Eve will not be counted as a disaster, and surge pricing will continue at times like that. Time for some news from you. These are submitted to our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. If you haven't swung by and joined or subscribed to that Reddit, please do. Get in there. Do some voting up. Do some voting down. Enjoy yourself. It's a great way to contribute to the show if there's no other way you can, or if it's just you're looking for another way to help out. We get articles to talk about on the show from you, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Devim submitted the Droid Life article about Google letting users enable the OK Google hot word to be said from any screen on the phone, not just the home screen. If you want to prompt a voice search, to turn it on in Google Now, scroll to the bottom, tap Menu, then Settings, then Voice, then OK Google. Detection. OK Google Detection is the name of the menu item, and turn on the options you want. This also adds audio history, which learns the sound of your voice and how you pronounce words.
I'm curious about this. I wonder if it works if you have a PIN code on your device. I assume that it still would. It would just ask you for a PIN code, maybe. And be careful, whatever you say, whenever you're saying OK Google.
Yeah, when you go turn this on, consider what you're turning on, because you can turn it on in different parts of the phone, like maybe not turning it on the lock screen, if that's an option, is a good idea. Draconos pointed us to the Slashdot post that Microsoft has ended updates for MapPoint and Streets and Trips. Both services still exist, but will be retired in favor of Bing Maps. The fate of the two services has been noted on both their websites. I hadn't thought about Streets and Trips. Immediately brought up an image of the box that we used to sell in the bookstore I worked at. And realized that thing was still around. TM204 posted the Engadget story about New Zealand ISP Slingshot offering a global mode feature, really just a VPN, that allows their customers to access normally geo-restricted internet content, things like Hulu and Netflix. Marketing for the feature originally mentioned that it was meant to make visitors you might have from other countries feel more at home when they're using your internet. But then Slingshot General Manager Taryn Hamilton confirmed to the New Zealand Herald that, quote, "No beating around the bush, this is to watch Netflix." Refreshingly candid, don't you think?
Totally, I love it.
And then Magoo JC submitted the TechCrunch article that points out BlackBerry stock is up 50% on the year and is one of the best performing stocks in the technology sector. Yes, BlackBerry. By comparison, Apple is up 20% and Google up just 5%. So far, revenue at BlackBerry has not improved, but the company has cut costs, which investors always love. BlackBerry has also not made any bold moves this year. Get it? Bold moves. But they haven't made a ton of big moves. You got the Square Passport. That's kind of the big thing they did. So kind of hard to accuse them of doing much wrong when they've played it so safe. And that is a look at the headlines. Hey, Shannon, have you read the Sword and Laser anthology yet?
Is it out?
It is. You can buy one now. It collects 20 amazing stories from new writers in the Sword and Laser Book Club audience. There's 10 sci-fi stories, 10 fantasy stories in here, plus an introduction by Patrick Rothfuss. And we have ebooks on all the platforms, Google Play, Nook, iBooks, everything you want.
I would want to get the physical copy because then I can smell it, and it smells like a new book.
It smells like victory, actually.
Victory and epicness.
In other words,
where can I get it?
It smells like Agent Orange in the morning. Swordandlaser.com/store is where you get it.
Yay.
If you're interested.
I'm going to go buy one right now.
Thank you. Please do. I can get you one. Anyway, let's talk about Spark Labs. We were talking about that Internet of Things standard, the Open Interconnect Consortium in the headlines. There's another company out there called Spark Labs that just got another round of funding, $4.9 million, which has a bunch of people looking at them and talking to the founder again. What they're doing is very interesting. They built a development board, raised some money on Kickstarter, called Spark Core. It's Arduino compatible. You can program it with Arduino, and it has a Wi-Fi shield, and it's meant to just be put into things. It's a tiny little board, and you can turn anything into an internet-connected device. Zach Sapola, the founder and CEO, says the next step that they want to do now that they have this funding is what he calls Spark OS. Basically, it's a cloud platform. They want to do a messaging framework, data storage, application layer, management layer. And they've open sourced the Spark Core boards. They just want people to go out and use them. They don't care about making a ton of money off the hardware. They want people to start putting this in their products. They think even if they market this to the maker community, those maker community members work at companies and may take those boards to the company and say, hey, what if we used this in there? The REST API is the open source version of the controller, and that's open source as well. You can run it on Heroku, you can run it on your own server, you can run it on Amazon Web Service. So really, Shannon, where do you think Spark ends up making their money? How do they stay a company if they just open source all this stuff?
Oh man. who knows? I'm excited to see them actually being able to raise all this money because that's really important, and I love what they're doing. I've been following Spark Labs for about a year and a half. I've been checking out what they're doing. So they did the Spark Core, and they raised a ton of money on Kickstarter, and that kind of started the whole boom. They've been developing this it's for a maker community. You're exactly right, Tom. One of the things that I love about the fact that they've been doing this is that they are going to the makers and trying to bring this to them as opposed to just bringing it to companies and saying, hey, you should put this in your product, because makers are where you're going to see the most creativity and the most interest for open source developments like this.
And it seems like you're right. This has kicked off the new trend in Internet of Things grassroots efforts anyway. Things like Electric Imp are doing a similar situation where it's a little bit of hardware with the Wi-Fi built in instead of building whole components. Like I've been trying out the LifeX bulbs. They sent them to me, and that's all. Everything is in the component. You don't have to have a hub. You don't have to have some other thing. You just screw them in and connect them to the internet. That's the other thing. Spark uses a really cool TI technology that makes it fast to configure on a Wi-Fi network.
Yeah, the Texas Instrument board, I think, that they just put right on top of theirs. That's so cool. I love it. So the nice thing about Spark Core, too, is that they've also developed the Spark Cloud, which lets you integrate your Spark Core, the little board, with all your different products so that they can actually get wireless. And now they're doing this open source operating system, this open source OS. That's going to be able to like integrate the products in some way to all the compatible devices. So I think this is cool, being able to finally see some kind of use with Internet of Things, because there's so many companies out there right now that are just trying to figure out like what is Internet of Things? Like how do you make this work? How do you make it sellable?
Yeah, we saw in that headline about the new consortium that Intel and Samsung are part of. Everybody's trying to figure out a standard here. And I like Spark Labs' approach, saying we kind of want to help foster a natural standard. We'd like to be the folks who created it, obviously, because that benefits them. But they're open sourcing the hardware. They're open sourcing the cloud server. I think what they're hoping is we're the experts in how this all works. We open source all this stuff. It makes it easy for people to adopt it, and then they're sort of acting as a consultant, right? They can come in when companies really want to deploy things in a large way and advise.
Yeah, they're making it so easy. Like, I believe the development board, the Spark Core, is easy enough for noobs to use it. It's easy enough for like little kids to get involved with it so that our next generation will be able to use these products and just be like, oh yeah, this is totally natural. I feel like this is going to give developers like endless possibilities as far as what they can do with just the items in their household.
Yeah, I hope that corporations pick this up, simply because I want that ability for a young developer to be able to be using the same standards and equipment that the big companies are using. And then immediately whatever I create as a young developer can interoperate. You know, if my parents have bought some stuff that's got Spark OS compatibility in it, then it all works.
You can be like, oh yeah, I know how to make this do this thing. Look, I just tweeted out to your plant or whatever.
Well, and that's the other thing, right? They're still waiting for I guess it'd be the killer app, except it's a killer piece of hardware in this case, that makes everybody understand. Light bulbs usually are the best example, but there was a Twitter magnet that they showed in their Kickstarter that would just show you, Twitter posts from your refrigerator. That's nifty, but I still don't know what is the thing that any of these companies, whether it's one of the consortiums, whether it's Philips or LifeX or Spark, what is the thing that makes everyone say, oh yeah, that's the platform, that's the one to get on?
Yeah, you have a good point. I honestly feel like there's a lot of people out there right now that still feel like it's too complicated. So I'm hoping that Spark Labs is going to change that concept and be able to say, hey, anybody can do this. My mom could take this home and be able to set it up.
Yeah, there's a bunch of smart home platforms out there, some of which I really like. I've put a couple on my Amazon wish list because I want to play around with them, but they all require hubs. So making it so that all you do is connect to your own Wi-Fi, you got to make it simple. And then you can start to get late adopters on board.
Yes.
That's when it starts to take off.
Simplicity is key, especially for things that are internet connected.
All right, let's take a look at the calendar. Just one thing on there today. Another Spark project, but not the smart home Internet of Things one. Microsoft's Project Spark. That's a game creation tool. They're going to release it for PC and Xbox One in the Americas. I believe that's Canada and the U.S., maybe Mexico, on October 7th. In Asia-Pacific countries on October 9th, and in Europe on October 10th. And the retail version will sell for $40. Our pick of the day comes from Steve Boland. We talked with Julio Ojeda Zapata yesterday about a bunch of home over-the-air broadcast Aereo replacements that you could roll yourself. And Steve said Amazon is still selling a basic simple TV with lifetime service for $120. Yes, I had to buy a hard drive for Simple TV, but once it was set up, I get live or recorded TV streamed to my Roku, my computer, my tablet, or whatever, anywhere I am. Avoiding monthly or annual fees was important to me in getting this set up, so good to know there is a cheap option for this. Thanks for everything you do. Oh, thank you, Steve. He says, one of your bosses, we are legion. It's true. We absolutely are. $120 for lifetime service. That so you get the Simple TV and the lifetime service. That totally makes it worthwhile, I think.
This is my first time checking out this Simple TV thing, so I can get free-to-air broadcast stations going straight to this thing, and it'll record the shows for me.
Yeah, you have to plug in your own hard drive, which is not going to be a problem for you. You've got a hard drive laying around that'll work for this, I'm sure. And then you have to have an antenna, and that can be a problem for some people. But once you hook those two things up, then this gives you access over the internet to your own content, your own over-the-air broadcasts. I found the one that I got, and I got the original one, a little laggy. But other than that, it worked as advertised.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you do have to pay for the guide service, but what he's pointing out here, you get lifetime service included for $120 on Amazon. Boom,
right.
You're in. Thank you for the pick. You can send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Now, as you might imagine, we had a lot of other people write in regarding the Aereo decision and the Aereo replacements. Mike Novak says, hey, listening to your talk yesterday about Aereo and the many ways to try to replicate its features was very interesting. However, for some people, the features were not even the most important part. As for myself, I live in a suburb that is 45 miles outside of Chicago, and getting local television reception is almost impossible because of the distance. Many websites I have looked at state that to get even weak signals, an antenna has to be mounted 30 feet above the ground. This would require an even more expensive structure to be erected outside my house, ruining the aesthetics of the house, and costing way more money than is necessary, all in order to gain free signal. I've bought multiple antennas, and even mounting one directly on the roof did not work for me. For someone like me, Aereo was going to be a simple way to get the channels that I should be getting already. The features were not important, but the fact that I did not have to erect a small satellite tower in my backyard was the biggest benefit. The broadcasters obviously do not care about people with issues like this, as the local channels can and are usually accessed through cable or satellite.
He's right about the antenna issue. So it's this thing called line of sight propagation, which is a whole bunch of math that basically figures out what kind of angle and what line of sight you need to have for certain kinds of antennas to be able to pick up any kind of radio signals. And then there's this Fresnel zone, I believe it's called. I think that's French.
Oui.
The Fresnel zone, which is basically like, it's shaped like a football, and it's this zone of area that gets no kind of disturbances. There's no trees in the way or anything like that. And this is the zone, the area that you can use for your antenna to actually be able to pick up all those different signals from far, far away, even including like atmospheric issues that you might run into, issues with the weather that can change that Fresnel zone. It all has to do with antennas, and it is a pain in the butt to figure out what math is involved to figure out like where you need to set up your antenna. But once you do get that perfect pinpoint, you can pick up data from so far away, like all the way up to the horizon. It's pretty crazy. But,
yeah,
it's hard. It's annoying.
Yeah, antennaweb.org is a good place to get started if you want to start figuring out where the signals are coming from as part of this. When I was growing up, we had one of these towers that he's talking about, these 30-foot tall towers. My dad used to climb up on the tower after storms sometimes to kind of put the antenna back into place. But The positive about it was like we got all that. We were 45 miles, about the same, but we were 45 miles from St. Louis. We got all the St. Louis stations just fine, and we would occasionally pick up Springfield and Paducah, Kentucky, which were much farther away. You're talking 7,500 miles in some
Whoa.
cases. But that doesn't change Mike's point, which he doesn't have that, right? Everybody removed all those antennas years ago because of cable and satellite. So now he's like, well, that's not cheap. I mean, sure, he could do it, but that's not something that maybe he wants to do. He's like, it ruins the aesthetic appeal of the house. It's not
Right.
like the 70s when every house had an antenna sticking out of the top of it.
Now nobody has them, and if you do, it looks like you're a crazy alien person. So nobody wants to do it. And he's right, it is expensive, it's a pain in the butt to set up, and then there's a lot of math involved. So I would rather spend the extra money to get something that I can just stick in my house as opposed to setting up an antenna, which could potentially break and fall if the weather gets bad.
Yeah. And essentially that's what cable is supposed to be, is your way to pay some money to access those channels that you can't access as well because you don't have the antenna. I remember when we got cable at first, there were a few Springfield channels on our cable service because they could get them from their big fancy cable antenna even better than we could. Eventually, though, regionalism came in and got rid of that. So then it becomes a question of, well, if you can't receive them very well where you live, are they going to let you receive them through something like Area?
Yes.
Brendan Lee writes, hey, Tom, after listening to the show Monday and hearing about some suggested aerial alternatives, I was shocked to find that something like my own aerial-like setup wasn't mentioned. Brendan, you are so dramatic. I was shocked. You don't need to be shocked. But Brendan's got a genius idea. Check this out. The total cost for what I'm doing is less than $80 with no monthly fees. Here's what I'm using. A Slingbox Solo for $75 on Amazon and a VCR that he got for $3 at a garage sale. The Slingbox Solo doesn't have a tuner, so he's using the VCR to accept the antenna coax signal. Now, obviously, this is going to help somebody like Mike, but if you do have an antenna signal, this is an $80 solution here. You accept the antenna signal into the Slingbox, output it as a composite, or into the VCR, output it as a composite signal to the Slingbox. Most VCRs I've found seem to have this ability and are cheap. The Slingbox also has IR blasters, so it can control the channel on the VCR from the web interface. It has minimal setup, no monthly fees, has apps, and a web service, because there's apps on the Slingbox Solo. TV guide, and can work with antenna or cable. Just thought I would mention a sub $100 solution. Now, this wouldn't be HD, so would it? I mean, oh no, he says composite. Wait, yeah, you want component interface. And so the tuner has to be able to pick up the digital channels as well. So it's going to have to be a newer VCR. But all that said, you can still find it pretty cheap. It's pretty genius, huh?
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But I like my HD footage.
Yeah. There would be a way to do this with HD. It still isn't a DVR though, and for me that's essential. I don't want just the ability to watch over the air in real time. I want that DVR functionality as well.
What, you don't want to sit in front of the TV at a certain time every single Tuesday night at 8 p.m. just to make sure that you can watch the show? You don't have other plans?
Yeah, and so I mean, I guess if you're going along these, you could do a Myth TV box, or you could do a Windows Media Center, get an old Windows 7 box for cheap. It wouldn't raise the price that much. But again, what we're starting to get into is things that are more complicated than the average person would do when they just wanted to have area. Finally, James from Irvine has a suggestion for those who haven't yet cut the cord. He says, my DirecTV service includes a Genie Go feature that makes it simple and easy to watch what I want when I want on any device. I can watch recorded shows from my television, PC, tablet, or phone from home or away. I can even sync a show to my mobile device and watch it offline. Great for frequent flyers. And when I have Wi-Fi access, I can watch my home DVR from a hotel room. Aereo isn't the only easy way for normal people to access great features like this. It was just the least expensive. And that's true. Genie Go cost you $99. It's a separate device from the DVR. Also, you have to have a Genie compatible DVR from DirecTV. And then DirecTV's service isn't super cheap, right? I mean, I think the cheapest one you can get is $40 on an introductory package, and that doesn't get you all the channels. But he's right. The functionality is actually there in DirecTV. Dish Hopper is a similar thing as well. Of course, they're being sued also. So anything that makes things easier for the customers tends to get sued. I don't know, Shannon. Would you pay That much money for the Genie Go system?
I don't know. I would consider it, but probably not.
Yeah. But you say you don't use any over-the-air stuff. You
I
just do
don't.
subscription services.
I don't really find that I need it because any shows that I do want to watch on TV will eventually end up on Netflix anyway, so I can wait. I'm patient sometimes.
And that's really what this is all about, right? It's live things like sports and sometimes events like the Oscars. It's not wanting to wait for the premiere of your favorite show. But if you're patient, you save a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Shannon Morse, for being on the show. You've been doing a lot of cool stuff over there at Hack 5.
Yes, we have. We've been playing with drones. We've been building drones. We've been building antennas, just like the ones that your emailer was discussing with you. And we've also been playing a lot with SDR, which is super, super fun, software-defined radio. I've been learning a ton about that, and hopefully I will eventually get my ham license because I don't have one yet.
That's actually how they rebooted the solar satellite, right? Was software-defined radio.
I believe so. Yeah, I've been following that too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. HAK5.org. Anything in particular anything else in particular to tell folks about before we let you go?
I've also been doing a lot of really cool stuff with Techzilla over at Discovery, which is revision3.com, and I've been working on a coding show called Coding 101 with Father Robert Balasair over at twit.tv. That one's great because I've learned so much about programming languages that I never knew like 24 weeks ago.
So Father Robert's teaching you to code.
Exactly.
As you go. Which language are you guys using?
We've done C#, Python, and Perl.
Awesome. Python just became the most popular programming language. I saw a story today. Yeah.
I'm glad I learned some of it.
Yeah, I know, right? So where do you find the coding show with Father Robert?
That one's over at twit.tv/C101.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon. Love having you on.
Thank you, Tom.
Don't forget you can have a voice in my life by becoming a patron. That's when you hear people in their emails saying like I'm your boss, or we've got a legion of bosses. There are 4,092 people who've seen some value in Daily Tech News Show and said I would like to give some value back. And really all I've ever asked for is 5 cents a show, $1 a month to keep the show going. We get enough of you guys doing that, and we're able to make the show. In fact, we released it to patrons first, and we just released publicly our hour-long interview with John Milburn. He's a Korean network administrator. He's also a nuclear engineer, a really smart guy. He's been working on building the internet for decades, and he's between jobs, which is actually incredibly helpful when wanting to describe some of the problems around peering and net neutrality. We talked to him for an hour. He walked us through how peering works, how it's impacting net neutrality, why it's not exactly the same thing as net neutrality, and what effect some of these open internet guidelines and discussions are really going to have, and what the solution could be in the United States. So take a look for that. We have it in the Twitter feed, and we'll put a link to it on the blog at dailytechnewsshow.com. But that's one of the things we're doing with having all of these patrons, is taking opportunities to do more stuff like that. So check it out. Patreon.com/acedetect. Don't forget you can have a voice in what stories we cover at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. You can email us, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. And listen to the show live, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, mobile.alphageekradio.com. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Michael Wolf from the Next Market podcast as our guest. See you then.
Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Job's done.
Yay! Woo! We did a thing!
We did the things with the stuff.
With the stuff and the things on the internet. Hey, how was Nerdtacular? You went, didn't you?
Yeah, Jenny went too. It was fantastic.
I am so jealous. I want to go.
You should go next year. I don't know exactly what the plan is. They're still trying to figure out whether it's going to be the same weekend, same place, all that
Wait,
stuff. But
can I vote as a non-voting member who is working for a voting member? For the sake of my marriage, can I vote it not be on 4th of July weekend,
that's
please?
so far away from any kind of influence I have. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Please.
I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go if it was on 4th of July.
The reason that they did it on July 4th last year was they were able to get the Snowbird Resort. And that's the same thing this year. But then this year, the Fantasy Con decided to take the July 4th weekend as well. So I don't know. That may get. I have no idea if it's going to get moved or not. I don't think they know whether it's going to get moved or not.
I'll have to follow it so I can show up next year.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
super
blast.
awesome. As a first timer, I was super just impressed by how it all worked logistically, let alone getting to meet all the cool people.
Yeah, that has. I mean, there's a huge team that makes that happen. But Corinne is the woman that Scott brought on board to actually turn it into a conference when when it stopped being a gathering in a movie theater several years ago. And she just gets better at it every year.
She's what I learned was that she'd been doing event planning for like almost her entire career, and it shows because she's just completely unflappable.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's awesome.
It's super impressive.
Yeah, well, you could see it this year, but last year when there was the landslides, that
Oh my
that
gosh.
was the true test. They're like, there's some landslides that have shut off access of the roads, and none of our employees can come in, and so we can't operate any of the restaurants. And she's like, okay, so what do we do?
Whoa.
I was
Where are the eggs?
Yeah.
I did all the planning for our wedding, down to like the decorations, and I even did all the floral. And when I brought in all the physical items to give to the venue to set up, I was like, I had everything labeled and I had my name on everything just in case I forgot anything. And the chick that I was working with at the venue, she was just like, "Whoa, do you want a job?" And I was like, "No, I'm good, but thanks."
Nice. That's
Apparently,
great.
brides are never
Nice.
organized when it comes down to that kind of stuff.
Well,
Hard.
it looked like a gorgeous wedding.
It was.
Every once in a while, like I see you when I'm pulling together all the links for the show. Like I see your picture with that wedding dress. And I'm just
Aww.
like, man, that is a nice dress.
I love my dress. I want to wear it again. I'm gonna have a white dress
Yeah.
party.
Ooh,
where
that's
we
a good
wear white
idea.
dresses.
What would I wear?
A white dress.
Obviously.
It would look amazing.
It would look very biblical.
Very biblical. So I'm going to have
Jesus.
to carry tablets.
What? I have to come up with a Hack 5 segment for tomorrow. Yay.
Like just a not part of the theme or anything, just a segment.
Yeah, just segment.
Yeah.
Darren sent me one, and I understood about half of it, and so I was like, okay. Like, yeah, just do the thing with the program that you've never heard of, and yeah, just do VPN. And I was just like, yeah, all right.
Okay.
I'll get Archiver to help me.
Oh yeah, there you go. Outsource it. Archiver will help you up. He's already helping me design my dress.
Oh,
He said,
good.
You need something svelte that shows off your legs. Thank you, Archiver. I don't like showing off my legs.
I'm sure they are beautiful and white.
Yeah, white for sure. You'll just think I'm wearing a dress.
And hairy.
Well, yeah.
BioCow will probably have one after DEF CON. Oh, I am going to DEF CON, anybody that's listening.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, that's coming up, huh? August.
Yeah. Oh, you
What's our
should have
title?
Aaron do a report from DEF CON for DTNS.
Yeah,
Please.
I'd love that.
So we have two potential titles. We have from Sebgons, I guess, even though it says Sengons, I'm assuming that's Sebgons. I love Laserdisc. Put another dime in the jukebox, baby. And then the other one was really good from Silverblade. I'm looking for it. Where was it? We send it. I just saw it.
Laser discs.
Freund laser discs.
That's a Justin Robert Young character, the Laserdisc guy.
Where'd it go?
Spark Up the Internet,
Thank you,
BioCow.
that's the one.
Nice.
Oh no, so Spark Up the Internet was from
Silverblades?
BioCow. I'm
Oh.
trying
I
to.
do like Spark Up
Silverblade
the
had
Internet.
one that was the internet is made of sparks. It was of that ilk.
Gotcha. My God.
Yeah,
it's
the
full of
internet is a
sparks.
series of sparks.
Series of sparks.
It's a play on the series of tubes joke.
I like Spark Up the Internet.
Yeah, I think that's a shorter one.
If it were April 20th, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But we'll still use it. Get up, spark up. Don't forget your platform and REST API for the Internet of Things.
Wait, Todd White had that one? How'd I miss that? I think most people do it where they say my name and then the title, which is usually the best way to make sure I see your title.
We should do the doc like Night Attack does. They just do a form, Google Doc form, and then anybody has a title idea just puts it in that form.
Yeah, that's a smart idea because I'm sure I miss some sometimes if I'm not in the chat while they're suggesting.
Yeah. Wouldn't be that hard to set up either. Yeah, see, Sebgons is like, that can be arranged. Let's arrange that.
Hey, we give you all permission to arrange it.
Virtual private Netflix. Huh. That was Todd Whitehead's. Nice.
That's a
VPN.
good one.
Smart. My gosh, I can't believe this game. Still the first half.
Uh-oh.
Be more subtle, man. Title,
So,
send me cash.
Send me cash. So do you want to hear about the dramatic thing that's happening to Matt Flanagan today?
Uh-oh, what's happening to Matt Flanagan
It's
today?
not dramatic. It's airplane related. So he's flying in for the vacation. This is my husband, Shannon. And so his first flight was so delayed that they automatically rescheduled him because they knew he wasn't going to make his connection in Cleveland. So, like, I guess the system pops up and says, this is busted.
That. They rebook you on something, yeah.
Then his second flight now flies into, he was going to go up to Boston to see his parents. His second flight flies into Newark, New Jersey, which is no joke, really near where I am. So I was like, why would you take, and now his second flight was a half-hour delayed, so he's going to miss that flight too.
Ugh.
So I was like, isn't this just the universe saying you should come to the lake and just, like, forget Boston, have your parents come down to the lake, and we'll all hang out at the lake? So this is the drama. He has now, according to United Airlines, 4 minutes to make a flight at a different terminal.
Oh, yeah. That's not
Oh
gonna
my
happen.
gosh.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. He won't even get off the plane by the time that
No.
flight leaves.
Although, there's always the possibility that the other flight is delayed, because that happened
I'm
to me.
checking that.
I only had a 30-minute connection in San Francisco on the way back from Nerdtacular, and I was stressing about it. And then, of course, I run up to the gate, and the plane isn't even there yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's delayed coming in from Vancouver, so.
Right. And the flight that's going to Boston is actually coming from Cancun, Mexico, but so far it has not been, it's not delayed because that flight hasn't, I don't think, taken off yet. So. Anyway, I'm really having a lot of fun tracking all the flights from a purely selfish perspective of really just wanting Matt to come to the lake.
What are you using to track them?
Just United, United's flight tracker. I have 2 different windows open. It's very 1998.
You should go to flightaware.com, and then you can see all of the inbound traffic stuff. It's cool.
Do that. Well, anyway, this is very exciting. So I might be going down to Newark to pick up the mat. Let's see. So can you track more than one flight at a time, and like have them all intersect on the map screen?
I don't know about that.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. I bet there's something that does that.
Yeah.
They are in the second half. Oh, I looked at the time wrong. Sorry. It is in the second half. Thank you, Icing.
Lightning storm.
It's always weather, and it's always later flights. because weather starts the cascade of delays.
It's a domino effect.
Yep. Totally. So, how's the hubby?
Mine?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm
Oh.
supposed to say his name, so I didn't want to out him.
Oh, he's Mr. Snubs on Twitter if anybody wants to follow him.
Is he? Is that
Well,
his
that's
Twitter name?
amazing.
That's awesome.
I'm finding that right now.
Mr. Snubs.
MR Snubs?
Yeah, it's MR Snubs.
That's my kind of husband.
That's great. Oh, he uses
I
his
think
name
he's
there.
yeah, he's still an egg.
He is.
I told him he should just remain an egg. He's doing good. He had to fly to, I think it was Arizona for like the past week, so we didn't really get to do anything together until July 4th. So on July 4th, we just like sat around, went to the pool, relaxed, and I made him cook.
What do
I
you
was
make?
like, yes, a home meal! Yeah! I
What
was
do you
really
make?
excited.
Did he make anything cool?
Yeah, he did. He made us steak, lobster tails, shrimp.
Nice.
I know. I had an awesome meal. And we did like grilled asparagus and baked potatoes. It was really good.
Twitter says that since I'm following Mr. Snubs, I might want to follow these similar accounts. Walgreens,
What?
Freddy the Raccoon, and Liz Romero.
Walgreens. Maybe that's because I was following Walgreens for a short period.
Must be or something. Or it's a promoted one, so maybe it just doesn't have anything to do with him at all.
However, Walgreens is still not worth following.
QNX Monkey just suggested flightradar24.com,
Oh,
which
what's that one?
apparently you can, I'm about to check, you can check out multiple flights. 5 flights.
Flight Radar 24 let you do...
I'm out of the post, too.
Okay.
Oh. Maybe not.
It's like a mini air
There's some
traffic
site where
control
you
here at
can-
the lake house.
There's a site where you can listen in on the air traffic controller.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I did use this
That's
site.
always fun and terrifying.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and then you can narrow it down to certain particular flights. That's cool. Thanks, QNX Monkey.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Flight
QNX
Radar is
Monkey.
awesome. I use this to compare it to what I was able to get through my antenna.
Oh, right. You
Flight
guys are doing
Radar
a lot of
24.
flight tracking.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Wait, can I ask? I have a question. I've never understood, aside from it's cool, which is a perfectly legitimate answer, but what is the purpose of the flight tracking? What that Hack 5 does?
Funsies.
That's an excellent answer, and I totally accept that.
That's about
But I
it.
was just curious, like, it's just because it's complicated stuff, and it's sort of radio-centric, right?
It is. It's super radio-centric. It's just,
And you're building tools around that.
yeah, I just think it's so cool that I can like physically set up an antenna to my little crappy laptop and get flight information from like 50 miles away through this teeny tiny antenna. That's just what I think is so cool about it.
Yeah, it's radio. I mean, people like you always forget like how cool radio is. Like you're sitting on your couch in a little lake house in New Jersey, and all around you there's just like little radio waves floating around. Kind of blows my mind.
It's just light.
It's so fun.
It's just light that penetrates walls. That
Yeah.
you can't see with your eyes.
Yep. I mean, basically, like I'm breathing in and out the internet right now.
It's flowing through you. You're part of it.
Yeah, I'm part of it. I'm literally part of it.
Yeah.
I breathe in internet and I breathe out carbon dioxide. No, monoxide. Right? No, dioxide.
You don't really breathe in radio waves, though.
You don't?
No, because they're like light. They aren't affected by your breath.
I think it's much more romantic to think that I'm breathing the internet, but
It certainly is.
you can get on with the science if you want to. Oh, and I also finished Cosmos finally,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh,
awesome.
so good.
So
Cosmos
good. I got
amazing.
a little dusty. Got a little dusty at the end there.
Aww.
I was very sad to find out that they're not going to renew it.
Wait, what? Like it won't be a continuing series?
No, it was just the first series. There was a news article, unless they've changed their mind. There was a news article a couple months ago that said they were not going to renew it.
They should put it on the internet.
I agree.
Yeah, totally.
Because it was, to me, it had taken all season to get to the parts that I found incredibly fascinating. Like they were building an educational framework from the beginning for you to understand the final episodes. And now that they've gotten there, I would very much like to go further with them because it was such good writing.
Yes, I agree. It's beautiful.
So hopefully they'll be able to take that into like web form. Maybe Yahoo. Hey, Yahoo.
Yeah, you saved Community.
Dear Yahoo, if you saved Community and you thought that was worthwhile, you should also save Cosmos.
All right, well, that is it. I'm done.
Yep.
So we're going to
I'm
say
done too.
goodbye to the audience. Goodbye, audience.
Goodbye,
Goodbye.
audience.
Thanks for watching.